Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some wholemeal biscuits or crackers, also known as graham crackers or graham crackers. So graham crackers are you find them in North America, in America and USA and Canada, and they're a nice crispy biscuit basically. Sometimes flavoured with some cinnamon, and I guess some other things as well. But they're often used crumbled up into crumbs as the basis for pies and things like that. But they're also very, very good just to eat on their own. And I think they're also used as the basis of something called s'mores, which I may have done at some time, I can't remember. But I thought I would make them, and I did a test of them, and they tasted so good. And I want to make them because I have another recipe in mind that uses the crumbs from graham crackers. So I enjoyed them so much, I thought, well, I'll do them again and show you them as a biscuit. And then later on, I will go on and do this other recipe that uses the crumbs. And so for this, I have 120 grams, which is 3/4 cup minus 1 tablespoon of wholemeal or whole wheat flour. I have 65 grams, which is 1/2 cup minus 1 tablespoon of plain flour. 65 grams, which is 1/4 cup plus a tablespoon and about 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. I have 98 grams, which is 7 tablespoons of cold butter cut into cubes. Then I have 1.5 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 20 grams, 1 tablespoon of honey, 30 millilitres, 2 tablespoons of milk, and 2.5 millilitres, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And it's actually a very simple recipe, but it takes a little bit of time because we're going to chill the dough. And I'm going to start off by putting my dry ingredients, that's the 2 flours, the sugar, the baking soda, baking powder and salt, into a bowl, and then I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir around to get those all mixed in together a little bit. That's good. And then I'm going to put that into the processor bowl of my immersion blender. Like that. And I'm going to add the cold butter. I'm just going to toss the butter a little bit to get it coated. And then I'm going to pulse that until it turns into the consistency of fine breadcrumbs. Just check that. And that looks quite good. So then I'm going to pour in my honey and my vanilla extract. and the milk, or most of the milk. I'll hold back just a little drop. I'm going to pulse this until it starts to clump together. And that's good enough. So I'm actually just going to tip that into a bowl. Now I just used the bowl that had the wholemeal flour in it. I'm just going to squeeze that together like that, and that's good enough. So I've haven't used all of my milk, but I have a nice soft dough. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that into two pieces of about equal size. And I'm going to work with one piece to start with, and I'm actually just going to flour this piece of parchment paper. And I'm going to put another piece of parchment paper on the top, and I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle of about 9.5 inches square, or 10 by 9, something like that. And that's good enough like that. So I just want to explain that graham crackers are about this size, and they have a line down the centre and a line down the centre there, and then they have some holes dotted in each of the quarters. So just so I can show you, I'm actually going to cut out that particular shape. Like that. So that's the shape of a graham cracker, and I'm going to just score a line down the centre and there, and then I'll leave that for the time being. And what I'm going to do with the remainder is just cut out some rounds, and I will re-roll the dough later and cut out more. Just like that. And I'm going to put those, I'm going to cover it again. I'll just sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top, just a little bit. I'm going to cover that with my other piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to put that in the fridge on a tray, and I'm going to chill it for 30 minutes. And I will roll out the other piece, and I'll do the same with the other piece as well. And then when the 30 minutes has ended, I'll come back and we'll just dock each of the biscuits and the graham cracker and chill it again as we preheat the oven. And at that stage I'll preheat the oven to 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I'll line a baking sheet with parchment paper. So I'll come back when these have chilled for 30 minutes. So I've chilled my dough for at least 30 minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a skewer now, and with this graham cracker one here, I'm going to put a series of eight holes in each of the quarters. Like that, and I'm going to cut that line down like that, and then I'm going to lift that off onto my baking tray, which I have lined with parchment paper. Just like that. And then for these remaining ones, I'm simply going to, for the purpose of this, just put a series of holes. These are going to be what I'm calling my wholemeal biscuits. And then I'm going to pick those up and put those onto the baking tray. So I have rolled out the remaining pastry from that half and cut those out as well. So I'm going to put those into the fridge, and I'm going to chill them as I preheat my oven, as I mentioned, to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And as soon as the oven comes to temperature, I'm going to put these in, and I'm going to bake them for between 12 and 14 minutes until they begin to colour around the edges. I take them out of the oven, leave them on the tray for 5 minutes, then I'll transfer them to a wire rack to cool down, and once they're cool I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the wholemeal or whole wheat biscuits or crackers for 13 minutes, and I took them out of the oven and left them on the trays for a few minutes, then transferred them to a wire rack. So this is what they look like, and as I mentioned, really these are known in the USA and Canada as graham crackers or graham crackers, and this really is what they look like, and you can snap along the lines there. But I enjoyed them just as a biscuit, so I'll break this one so you can hear how it breaks, and I'll have a taste of it. Has a lovely crunch, as you can probably hear. And the nutty flavour from the wholemeal flour and combined with the honey gives these a really lovely flavour, I have to say. Some people put cinnamon in and make a cinnamon version. Personally, I don't think that's necessary, but if people like that, that's fine. And as I mentioned before, these are often used to crumble into crumbs and used as a pie base in much the same way as we might do with digestive biscuits. when we're making a cheesecake or something like that. So the reason I've made these is that I'm going to go on to make something called Nanaimo bars, which is a Canadian favourite from the city of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. That's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.